Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so that you do not miss the uploads that come up. And the easiest way for you to navigate the channel is to head to the playlist. You'll find videos curated for you based on your interest. So if you're interested in the Kutika podcast, you'll find a playlist for that. For news and trends, there's a playlist for that. Exclusive with MD90, a bunch of playlists that are created based on your interest. So the easiest way to navigate the channel is head straight to the playlist and you'll find what you're here for. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Right next to the subscribe button is a join button. You click on the join button so that you can become a member of the channel. You support the team on the production and a number of things that we're doing here, and we appreciate that.
Well, politics is something that people say once you are involved in, you can never leave. Earlier on, if you remember, Dorothy stated to say she was no longer interested in active politics, and she had stayed clear of making statements with regard to the political happenings in the nation. But ever since the Petauke by-election, where she endorsed the UPND candidate who lost, she's been making a lot of utterances to get back in the political field. It could be a build-up. Maybe she's got bigger ambitions, maybe to run for the head of state or something like that. She didn't want anything less than that. Could be that reason. But she's been very vocal and giving her political opinions in recent past. So she was in the News Diggers just a couple of hours ago, where she says there is confusion in opposition. Says Dorothy, as she urges Hakainde, Hichilema, and Edgar Shagalungu to reconcile. So that's an article in the News Diggers. So she says the opposition must serve the people better because many will say that we have seen just how confused, the confusion that has been happening in the opposition, says former Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Siliya. She goes further to say, and Siliya says, one of the challenges that the United Party for National Development, UPND administration, has been poor communication with citizens. And nothing that the government has failed to explain. Noting that the government has failed to explain why it has not made certain promises. So she says that the lapse in the UPND government is majorly on the communication aspect, by the government failing to explain why it has failed to meet certain promises. Meanwhile, Siliya says there is need for reconciliation between Hakainde Hichilema and his predecessor, Edgar Chagwalungu, due to the tension in the country. So that's our opinion. She says there is need for the Republican president, Hakainde Hichilema, to reconcile with his predecessor, Edgar Chagwalungu. But this is a more complicated issue that meets the eye. My own personal opinion is that the only person that could have some leverage between Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar Lungu was Rupiah Banda. If you remember, even when Hakainde Hichilema won the 2021 elections, where there was some news to say there is a possibility that the PF might not accept the election results, it was Rupiah Banda, the late Republican president, who called them both at his house. And then because of the fact that during the 2016 elections, Rupiah Banda endorsed Edgar Chagwalungu. That's how even Dorothy joined the Patriotic Front. If you remember, she was in the MMD. It's that endorsement from Rupiah Banda that pretty much propelled Edgar Chagwalungu to his presidency, because most of the votes from Eastern Province were more inclined to Rupiah Banda. With that endorsement, they went to Edgar Chagwalungu. So Edgar Chagwalungu held Rupiah Banda in high esteem. And then also the fact that he convinced Edgar Chagwalungu to concede defeat and accept Hakainde Hichilema as the new president-elect, that also gained the points with the current president, Hakainde Hichilema. So that's the only person that I feel, because right now the church is divided. There's been a back and forth with the UPND government and some priests and some bishops. So I don't think the church is in the place to reconcile the two. Anyway, we wait and see how that plays out, but that's our opinion. She says Hakainde Hichilema should reconcile with Edgar Lungu. We'll wait and see how that plays out. But this news is what has been circulating. It's going to be a very busy week. So this is still in the News Diggers. We have agreed to amend the constitution before 2026 elections, says Hakainde Hichilema. Now people are asking to say he has agreed with who, because there's no public consensus on that decision. And then, so it's that statement that is being attributed to the head of state that people are wondering to say who prompted, where is that argument? Also in the Sunday Nation, they say we need to amend the constitution, Hakainde Hichilema, that's in the day, Sunday Nation. So you could see this has been a screaming headline. So it could be one of the statements that the head of state made during the Women's Day celebration. Should have been in Kasama, because that's the last public appearance of the president. So I don't see where else he made that particular statement. It's highly likely in one of those speeches during the celebration from yesterday of International Women's Day. And then the Patriotic Front are running with it. Obviously, they're adding meat to it, making assumptions. So they allege, this is the Patriotic Front, they say he wants, meaning referring to President Hakainde Hichilema, he wants he wants a 7-year term and abolish 50+1 running mate clause. So he says those are the major things why the president is advocating for a change to the constitution, because he wants to make those changes to our Republican constitution. He wants to move it from 5-year terms to a 7-year term. And according to the Patriotic Front there. And then they posted a letter that, because this constitutional change had come up last year in August, which prompted even State House to respond emphatically. By Chief Communication Specialist Grayson Hamasaka responded to some allegations that were being thrown around to say President Hakainde Hichilema wanted to change the constitution so that it moves from the 5 years to a 7-year term. The State House responded on the 2nd of August 2024, stating President Hakainde Hichilema reiterates resolve to uphold constitution, and then pretty much discussed to say the president has no plans of changing the constitution. So now that we're in 2025, this conversation has been brought back by the president himself to say there's need to make those changes to the constitution. So people wondering those two conflicting statements. You can see even Emmanuel Mwamba attached the same press statement that came from State House and today's headline, where the two conflicting headlines. So and then he quotes to say, government will not engage in a secret constitutional amendments process, Grayson Hamasaka. So quoting the chief communication specialist there. Hari Kalaba has also chipped in to say, hands off the constitution. We are in a leadership crisis, not a constitutional crisis. So this is a statement that has been attributed to Hari Kalaba. He has even shared it on his platform. The same. We are very surprised with the manner President Hakainde Hichilema is single-handedly trying to champion the change for the constitution of Zambia without involving all stakeholders. We urge him to immediately desist from that line of action. That's according to Hari Kalaba, giving his 2 cents on that. Kasonde Mwenda has also put up a video over the same. He says, now Amidelera, meaning like they know that he's taking advantage of you. Now Amidelera, no voting for president in 2026, says Hakainde Hichilema, changing constitution, kuyavevere. So Kasonde Mwenda puts meat to it. He alleges to say he actually wants to not hold the elections, according to him there. To which Elias Munsha, this is the ambassador, should be in Australia, responded to him to say, you are actually a liar. You are making things up. The president hasn't said what you are saying. So he says that's whatever Kasonde Mwenda is stating in that particular video is not what the president meant by that headline that I showed you earlier on. To which Kasonde responded to Elias Munsha. He says, tell us where the lie is. As we do not like you guys. Maybe you just don't know what proportional representation or representatives mean, sir. Please research. So it seems like that's the changes that according to Kasonde Mwenda, that want to be implemented. And then what is the chief government spokesperson, Cornelius Monitor, has stated to say government has no plans of changing the constitution. So then again, if that particular headline is being attributed to the head of state who said there is need for constitution changes, chief government spokesperson who says there are no plans to change the constitution, those two sides. To which Maus Sampa chipped in just 4 minutes ago. He says, actions speak louder than words. And up until Parliament is dissolved 12 months from now, every word from his mouth has to be taken with a pinch of salt on their plans to infringe on our national constitution a year before the general election, typical for a majority of countries in Africa, where leaders want to defy the will of the people and stay longer in power than needed by the majority of citizens. Our means of misinformation, referring to Cornelius Muito, according to Mao Sampa, is calling him means of misinformation and not information. Uh, so he simply says those two statements happening from the head of state and Cornelius Muito should be taken with a pinch of salt. And then Mashake Akashambato, this is a UPND supporter based in the United States, chipped in. He says, I'm not sure tampering with the constitution is a popular idea. President Hakainde Hichilema, he tags the president there. You are doing a great job reimagining the economy. Let your legacy be one leader that puts Zambia on the roadmap to economic prosperity. So he says there is no need to make a constitution. So it seems like even some elements within the UPND are not for that constitution amendment process. He says the president should just focus on what he's doing. He's already doing a good job, so let him not dent his legacy by tampering with that constitutional change, because it's not definite. It's definitely not a popular viewpoint by majority of the people. Mao Sampa goes further to say, before introducing a proportional representation system where citizens vote for political parties and not individuals, we must first allocate budget money to fund all political parties. At the moment, only the party gets Nchekeleko from mines and fair advantage. So that proportional representation, this should be what happens in South Africa. It seems like that's what it means. People are just chipping in to say that's what the president wants, where members of parliament are not voted in. The people vote for political parties. So you find that in South Africa, they vote for the ANC, EF, DA, and should be the MK party. And then whichever party gets a good number or proportion of votes gets to pick their own MPs, pretty much the leadership of that party, and as opposed to individuals running as members of parliament. So he says all parties are supposed to be funded by the state in that case. So at this point, only the UPND would have that advantage, according to Mao Sampa there. And then obviously, Mashaka Kashambato goes further to say, President Hakainde Hichilema has the tools in his executive powers. He can literally create new districts inside our constituencies and bring development closer to people. We don't have to split constituencies. So he says the president doesn't have to wait for those constituencies to be split. Let him just create districts within the constituencies so that development can reach the people. And then there's this also image that has been trending, where this is another statement that the president should have been made the time that celebrating that lady who helped him during the incarceration that he experienced, a treason charge in Southern Province, where you're saying he's already seated on the seat. Edgar Chakalungu has no place to come back as head of state. And then people are just starting to say he's glued himself to a seat there. And then people are saying, according to a patriotic fund, President Hichilema's gluing statements, remarks, disturbing and display of arrogance and contempt for democracy. So he says that if the will of the people decides to vote him out of power, how does that work if he says he's seated on that seat? And then Mao Sampa goes, the UPND are very good in opposition, giving non-stop factual and concocted lies in opposition checks and balances. Now in government, they have no stamina to take the opposition jabs. They cry on every opposition view to their governance. So that's Mao Sampa there. He has gone full-blown opposition now. He's no longer issuing positive statements towards the UPND. Or it's the news diggers that say Patriotic Front turns Hakainde Hichilema. He will still leave power with a chair glued to his buttocks, according to the news diggers there. So they say, if he insists to say he's not leaving that seat, that's why that image of him being glued to the seat comes from, say he's going to leave State House either way if he's voted out by the people. So if he needs that chair, it will go with him. That's according to the Patriotic Front reported by the news diggers there. And then you can see Munia Zulu has even say tough stuff. Thinners, pretty much, even if he is glued there, he's going to be removed with that. He goes further to say, this is Munia Zulu, Lumezi member of parliament, independent member of parliament, says, where can I find the thinners? I want to help us dilute the glue that may attempt to make, pretty much she puts that particular statement, stick to the chair permanently, accurate direction and the price. He puts in a price for someone who's going to help him buy that. And the president should have been at the Women's Day celebration to say, 2026, I want a landslide victory from here. Hakainde Hichilema tells Kasama residents. That's during yesterday's celebration. So he was talking to the people. He says he wants a landslide victory in 2026 in the elections there. And obviously, Shwangandu, Member of Parliament, Stephen Kampiongo, responds to President Hakainde Hichilema saying Trump has slapped them on both cheeks with the freezing of aid. Says Shwangandu, Member of Parliament, they are putting up his 2 cents. And then don't set Zambia on fire. Opposition wants UPND over 2022 census report. So different sides of this opinion. That's the news, ladies and gentlemen.